Welcome to my channel. I'm Gary Wiryawan, and today I want to talk about this little lens right here. This is the Panasonic Lumix 12-32mm f3.5 to f5.6 kit lens. Let's go! So today I want to talk about this little kit lens right here, the Panasonic 12-32mm f3.5 to f5.6. I actually planned to buy this lens a long time ago, but I never had a chance to buy this lens because I was too busy and I have so many other reasons. But recently, 3 months ago, I bought a new camera. This is a used Panasonic GX85 and it came with this kit lens right here. So I finally have the 12-32mm lens with me. This lens has a focal length of 12-32mm, so it's a general purpose kind of zoom lens. And before I have this lens, I have the Panasonic Lumix 12-35mm f2.8. This guy right here. This is a really nice lens. It's very sharp, it's professional, it's weather sealed, and it has a large aperture of f2.8. But one thing about this lens that I don't really like is it's so big, it's so heavy, and for travel and for general purpose kind of everyday photography, this is too big and too heavy for me. So I was always looking for this 12-32mm lens to replace this guy for travel and for everyday photography. The Panasonic 12-32mm is a kit lens, and kit lens always get a bad rap because of its supposed subpar image quality and subpar build quality. But with the Panasonic 12-32mm, it's a little bit different. And after using it for almost 3 months now, I want to share my experience of using this lens, also how the image quality is with this lens, and I will tell you everything about this lens in this video. Now let's start by talking about the basic stuff about this lens right here. But first I want to say that the Panasonic 12-32mm is a perfect example of the embodiment of the Micro Four Thirds philosophy. Small, lightweight, easy to travel around with. It's also not that expensive, but it produces fantastic image quality. So spoiler alert right there, image quality is fine. The focal length of this lens, 12mm all the way to 32mm, is very flexible. It's a general purpose lens, so it's perfect for all kind of stuff, for a little bit of landscape photography, for street photography, for portrait, for product photography, food photography, and everything in between. This lens can do it all as long as you don't need extreme wide angle or extreme telephoto. So this could potentially be your only lens that you need. The aperture of this lens goes from f3.5 at 12mm, and when you zoom it in to 32mm, it will go to f5.6. So not really that large because this is obviously a kit lens and this is very small and compact and lightweight. So there has to be some sacrifices, and the sacrifice on this lens is on the aperture range. But even with the f5.6 small aperture of this lens, you can still get a little bit of background blur, especially if you zoom it in to about 25mm or 32mm. If you cannot zoom in, then you need to be closer to your subject to get that background blur. Now let's talk about the exterior and the build quality of this lens. First thing that you're going to notice with this lens is just how small and portable this lens is. It's a pancake lens, so it's very thin, it's very small, very compact, and also very lightweight. And it's very easy to travel with. And with a pancake lens, usually you'll have to unlock the lens first before you can use it because this has that collapsible zoom mechanism. So you have to unlock the lens and then you can start to choose whatever focal length that you want by zooming the lens right here. I mentioned earlier that the 12-32mm is very lightweight. Yes, this is one of the lightest Micro Four Thirds lens, or maybe lens period ever, because it's only 70 gram. And this is very useful because when you're traveling by a plane and you have that 7 kilogram carry-on limit weight, then with just 70 gram, it's nothing. It's not that significant of a weight, and you'll be able to bring this lens more often, especially when you're traveling or just want a small lightweight lens for everyday photography. However, the lens is very simple. There's no manual focus ring, there's no switches right here, no focus switch, there's no image stabilizer switch. It's just a very simple, straightforward lens without any bells and whistles. Also, because this is not a professional grade lens, that means that it doesn't have weather sealing. So if you're shooting in bad weather or if it's raining, then you have to be careful with this lens. Now, build quality. It's all plastic. As you can hear, there's no metal parts in this lens. So I won't say that the build quality is fantastic, but fortunately, after almost 3 months of daily usage of this lens, I can say that it's pretty durable. Maybe not as durable as metal lenses, but I can say that there's no scratches whatsoever after using this lens every day for almost 3 months. Now let's talk about image quality. Is the image quality coming out from this kit lens any good? And as I mentioned earlier, the short answer is yes. First, let's talk about sharpness. I'm happy to report that at all focal lengths from 12mm all the way to 32mm, it is sharp, and if you stop the lens down a little bit, you can get perfect edge-to-edge sharpness with this lens. Other aspects of image quality, I think this lens also has plenty of contrast. There's also no weird vignetting with this lens. Distortion is pretty controllable, even though it's not fantastic. You can still see a little bit of barrel distortion, but it's not a big problem in my opinion. So overall, this is a very dependable lens in terms of image quality. If you need maximum performance, especially in terms of sharpness out of this lens, stop it down to f5.6 and you will get maximum sharpness at all focal lengths. One thing about this lens that you need to be careful is chromatic aberration. Unfortunately, at its widest focal length, 12mm chromatic aberration is a little bit of an issue. If you're shooting something very contrasty like tree leaves, then you can probably see the chromatic aberration. Fortunately, it's very easy to remove if you have post-processing software such as Photoshop, Lightroom, or similar products. You can easily remove the chromatic aberration. Now, the next question is, do I recommend this lens or not? And the simple answer is yes. If you're looking for a flexible zoom lens that can cover wide angle to mild telephoto focal lengths in a small lightweight package, then this lens is the answer. There's a little bit of sacrifice in terms of aperture. You cannot really get that low light performance as well as background blur with f5.6, but if you're looking for something small, something easy to pack that doesn't add a lot of weight in your bag, this lens is the answer. If you get this lens as a combo with a camera body, then probably I would suggest not to sell this lens because this lens might be useful for you in the future. Don't be so quick to dismiss this lens because this is just a kit lens. Try it out first and see if you like it or not. Now, I would like to mention quickly some other lenses that you should consider as an alternative to the Panasonic 12-32mm. If you absolutely need that background blur capability as well as low light performance, I think prime lenses are the way to go. You can definitely check out Panasonic Leica 15mm f1.7. It's the lens that currently recording this video, or maybe the Olympus 17mm f1.8 or the Panasonic 20mm f1.7 or Panasonic or Olympus 25mm f1.7 or f1.8. Those are all prime lens, so they only have one single focal length and you cannot really zoom it in or out. So choose the focal length that suit you the most. If you're comfortable with something wider, then definitely check out the Panasonic Leica 15mm. If you want something a little bit tighter, then go with the 25mm from Panasonic or Olympus. Or if you like something in between, then either the Olympus 17 or the Panasonic 20mm. If you need a zoom lens, not a prime lens, but a zoom lens with a large aperture to compensate for that background blur as well as for the low light performance, then the answer is the Panasonic 12-35mm f2.8 or the Olympus 12-40mm f2.8. This will be a great alternative for the Panasonic 12-32mm. However, keep in mind that with the large aperture of f2.8, the lens will undoubtedly be bigger and heavier as well. So keep that in mind. Speaking about comparable kit lens, there's also the Panasonic 14-42mm f3.5-5.6 that I used many years ago when I started to switch to micro four thirds. It is also a fantastic lens. The image quality produced is also great, and it goes slightly tighter to about 42mm, so it is excellent for portrait as well, but it doesn't go as wide as this guy to 12mm. Also check out the Olympus version of the 14-42 lenses. However, be careful with some of these Olympus kit lens because they are prone to damage. I have my Olympus 9-18mm damage because of the ribbon cable issue, and I also know that this same issue could happen to the 14-42 Olympus lenses as well. So in conclusion, I am very happy with the Panasonic Lumix 12-32mm kit lens because this is just such a fantastic small lightweight lens that I can just bring with me for travel and also for everyday photography, and I can recommend this lens for anyone that's looking for something flexible to use every day, that's lightweight and easy for travel as well. And that wraps up today's video. So that is all for today's video. I hope that you find this video to be useful. Please comment down below what is your favorite kit lens. Also, don't forget to support my channel by liking this video, sharing this video, and subscribing to my channel down below. Thank you very much and goodbye.